This week on the podcast, we've got 6 guests for you to listen to. Alright, so stay tuned for them. Also, we're going to review what just happened in UFC Rotterdam, the Invicta card that went down, which was absolutely awesome. I want to talk about UFC 198, and also there's a couple of little bitties to stick into, so check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Well, here we are. It's podcast time. I'm here, John, and I'm joined by co-host on the phone, Mike. Give a shout to everyone, Mike.
Hello, everyone.
There you go. He's giving a hello to everyone. Like I said before, the guests that we got on for this week, we've got fighters from, we've got Valor Fights, we've got that card coming up, we've got Titan FC card coming up, so we've got a kind of mixture of those guests. We have Alan Stewart, we have Amy Coleman, we have Annie De Crestiente, I'm pronouncing it, killing that name for her. Also got Jose Shorty Torres after his recent victory at Titan FC, Diego Lima, who's just signed with Titan FC, and he's fighting Machado at the 10th of June card. Also, we are not going to talk about the Bama card coming up in the UK, me and Mike, because I actually got a guest on, James Lake, who basically is a guy in the know with MMA in the UK. He's a promoter, he's an agent, he's pretty much involved in MMA in many aspects of the sport. So I had a chat with him, me and him reviewed the card, had a look at some of the fights really that stuck out more than others, obviously, because there's some fights on there which, they weren't overly exciting, but look, check that one out. I've actually put up in the corner the little clip bit for you. I don't know what it's called now, but you click on it and you can go and check it out if you're watching us on YouTube. If you listen via SoundCloud, yeah, there's a link, but there's a word for it on YouTube. But if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, get your ass over to the playlists. It's there to listen to and enjoy. You can download it on SoundCloud and listen to this anytime. You don't have to just sit there and listen to the whole thing in one go. We understand everyone's got a life and you can just listen to it as and when. So Mike, let's just jump straight into this. We've got a lot to talk about. Of course, we have the Invicta card that just went down this week gone. I stayed up to watch it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's quickly give a shout out to Laura Howarth, who finally got a debut at Titan, for fuck's sake, Invicta FC. She got a debut against Alex. Alexa Connors. Decision win, split decision. But the thing was, she got in there, got those cobwebs, I would say, ring rust out of the way, and she got the win.
And entertaining as well.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. She is that kind of girl. She will put an entertaining fight. I'm thinking that Invicta might get her on again rather quick, rather than making her wait like she did last time. I'd like to see Laura fight at least one more card before the end of the year for Invicta. If possible, 2. I'm not sure the Invicta schedule.
And do you know what? Those hard 3 rounds would have done her a world of good as well.
Yeah. Now, Rachel Ostovich also fought against Errol Beck, and Rachel got the win. She did. Do you know what? It was a tough fight. It was a hell of a scrap. It was a split decision again. It was a bit touch and go with decision making. I won't say that the judges were shocking, but there was some crazy judging going on that night.
Least I can say about the judges there, really.
Now look, you have Christine Stanley fighting Shannon Sin. Shannon just didn't even look in the same class as Christine. Christine looked absolutely fantastic. Her variation in strikes were just absolutely wonderful. The angles, the movement, the distance, managing the distance to not take shots. Utterly impressed. Sin just didn't even look in the game. She looked completely lost after the first round. She just couldn't get it.
I think that the one positive we can say about Sin is that, again, like with Laura, although Laura got the win, with Sin, she is gutsy. You know what I mean? There's no quitting her. A couple of times I've watched her, lose now, and she doesn't give in.
The thing is, being gutsy doesn't do much for you, because she was not doing anything, Mike. She was standing there, putting her hands up to block her face.
No,
but she was a target. She was just a punch bag. That's not a positive. Yeah, I can't see that as positive myself, mate. Only because
I know.
she's a punch bag.
Do you know what I mean? It's you see some fighters that win or lose, they're not. I'm not talking about like smart fighters and what have you. I'm talking about there's some that sort of like don't get in there and have a go, like even though the chips are down, sort of thing. Like she does sort of stay in there and she does keep plugging away. But she wasn't
plugging away this time. It was really just an absolute beat down for 3 rounds. But the fight, Mike.
She wasn't good.
No, but Mike, the fight to talk about is. The fight Meg, we're going to mention is Megan Anderson fighting again on Invicta, and she looked a more improved Megan Anderson than last time. She still has some flaws in the game which I feel she could work on, because she will get caught out by the stronger and more technical opponents, but she did take on Amanda Bell, put on a hell of a show, got the TKO, finished the fight basically as she landed that body kick, and the bell rang. Amanda dropped. She wasn't getting up. That liver shot did it, and the fight was over. I suppose you could say in between the rounds. It's classed as a TKO, but it's almost like a referee stoppage, or the fighter couldn't continue. But Megan Anderson, she's starting to find a groove after a couple of fights. Really impressed. Obviously, it's the inspiration she gets from being in love with me.
She's easy to watch.
She is indeed. Look, let's jump up the card a bit to Charmaine Tweet against Toyota Walker. Toyota Walker, I think it was pronounced. Walker, boxer, absolutely great hands. Do you know what? Charmaine Tweet, for me, she had a couple of fights outside of Invicta after her pretty much she got demolished by Cyborg. Had a couple of fights outside Invicta, got a couple of wins, came back, and I was thinking, okay, cool, she got that kind of confidence back. She, do you know what? She was getting absolutely outclassed in that fight, and then out of fucking nowhere, this spinning back fist from hell came out and put Walker down and dropped her, and it was absolutely, I literally, that woke me up. It was because I was watching obviously the fight card was on in the early hours in the UK, and that fight just made me jump up out my seat. It was absolutely astonished. Absolutely great win.
Yeah, Tweet does carry a bit of venom. She's had a few first rounders and what have you, and her strikes are alright, but she can land them,
Yeah, she was. Let's say performance of the night, Mike.
She'd be quite pleased about that.
She will be pleased that she got finished, but she shouldn't be pleased with the performance. She's got a lot still. If she's got to work on some bits there, in my opinion, to start to reduce the strikes landing. She was a taller, longer fighter. She didn't even use the range well enough. But the positive on the whole card, the best performance was Angela Hill. She was fighting for the title against Souza, and she looked absolutely fantastic in five round fight, ladies and gentlemen, as well. And the whole 5 rounds, Angela Hill had a lot of effort, energy, a lot of output. She did obviously tire like everyone would tire. The first 2 rounds had a hell of a pace on them. You could see it in both of the fighters, but Souza she is the submission machine. She's a monster. She wanted to get the fight on the ground. When she did get the fight to the ground, Angela Hill's escapes were very solid, very strong. She wasn't putting too much risk in herself when she was escaping. She wasn't leaving anything out there for Souza to take advantage of. Hill's striking was absolutely wonderful in the fact that she mixed those combinations up, but she wasn't sticking round. She was cutting off the angles to make sure that Souza couldn't shoot in for the takedown, get the clinches too often. It was very, very impressive performance by Angela Hill.
It just goes to show that she did go to the house. Obviously she was in the Tough series. When they created the
flyweight, the
flyweight division in the UFC, and it just goes to show that it was a little bit too early, but she probably did benefit from that, and she definitely. The right thing for her was to get cut from the UFC, because she's one of the people to get cut from the UFC that has improved and improved massively. She's not fighting in the UFC now. But at the same time, you know, she fought an undefeated fighter who could finish fights and was the current champion. However, what way you want to look at it, the fact that, okay, yeah, the strawweight did get emptied out a bit when, you know, when the UFC stuff created, but at the same time, you can only fight what you've got there, and she was a fight where she just kept plugging away, and she looked brilliant, and I was really impressed with her. You know, she had an offensive ground game as well. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah, Angela Hill.
her ability to get back to guard and get back to her feet was tremendous.
It's clearly, obviously, she knew who she was fighting. She drilled, obviously, those bits specifically. But the thing was with Angela Hill is that she is getting those minutes, that cage time, in there that she needed to before she goes back to the UFC.
And when Dana White says, go away, go and fight somewhere else, you know, win a title, maybe come back, that's exactly what Angela's doing.
Yeah.
She's now cutting her teeth.
I would still.
She's improved.
Yeah.
She's now a champion with a couple of defences and still grow her game a bit, you know.
I think two defences, Mike. Yeah, in my opinion, Mike, 2 more defences would be a good thing for her. She can obviously defend it, get another good win, get 2 good opponents. It'll help her before she goes back to the UFC. I think that ring time experience, that knowledge, that time as well. It's not the fights that is going to help. It's the time between the fights. She can keep growing, keep learning. It's something that she needs to do. Yeah.
I think she went in as a 2-fight novice. I think.
She went in. Yeah, she went as a super novice. She
I mean, you know, like,
raw.
you don't get many chances in life, and
Yeah.
sometimes you've got to grab hold of them.
Well,
and
no.
It's not like she lost too many brain cells in the process, you know
No.
what I mean? She lost a couple. But
Yeah. And we're going to move on now, Mike. We're going to move on because we've got a lot of cards to talk about. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're not going to be here forever. Tony Evanja, she beat Colleen Schneider in a very close fight, actually. A lot of people kind of thought Tonya was just going to go through, demolish her opponent. It was quite a tight fight, decision win, but Tonya eventually started to wear Colleen down after the second round. It started to take a toll a little bit, but her ground game, her wrestling actually, which is what she's known for, she couldn't apply that kind of really powerful ground and pound at some points. Colleen had actually surprised me very well with her defense on the ground. It was a closer fight than I thought it was going to be, but it's another defense for Tonya. I don't know what they do with her now. Do they give her someone else to fight? Does she move on? Do the UFC bother signing her? I just don't know what they do with her, because it's that point of her career where she wants big things to happen, because there's not long left for her probably in her career. I'm just unsure.
Yeah, I think she will go to the UFC, but it's a tough one because she's not setting the world on fire as far as the Joe average fan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think she might become a little bit of a hard sell for the UFC as the UFC are more into the entertainment game.
She is a bit of a dirty fighter, but the thing is, her personality can sell herself. She could sell her personality, which is she's a bit of a badass. So that's something for her.
And she can still hang in there in those championship rounds, which is important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of the people, a lot of fighters, they're turning up in the UFC and they haven't been in those championship rounds before.
No, it makes a difference, yeah.
So these 5 rounders that she's getting are doing her the world of good.
And we're gonna move on to the BCMA card now. There's fights in UK BCMA. We had a handful of fighters on from that card. I just want to give a shout out to them because obviously they got the victories. Each guest that we had on actually won. I'm not saying I've got the Midas touch, but I'm just putting it out there. So yeah, we had on there. I've got winning is Cornelia Home, who we had on. She won against Camilla Maines with a TKO in the second round. I'm absolutely devastated this card was not showing on pay-per-view. There was obviously some technical difficulties that he had. I don't know exactly the ins and outs. Also, you had Medradad, who won with a heel hook in the first round as well. You also had Bryony won with a submission of a rear naked choke in the second round. Thomas Robertson, who beat a very, very tough opponent in Amard with a TKO in the second round. John Maguire, another submission win, first round against Vincent Del Guerrero within 55 seconds. Absolutely hell of a performance by John Maguire. So look, Very good card for BCMA. Very good weekend for them. We'll see what happens in the future. I think they're maybe going to do one more card this year. I'm not sure from what I've spoken to them about, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's talk, Mike, then let's go quickly over the Rotterdam card. Let's not stick around too long talking because we've got the UFC 198 card, which I really want to dig into because there's a hell of a lot of fights there. UFC Rotterdam, like I said to you off air, Mike, I thought personally it was about a 6 out of 10 card because a lot of people will think about the ending, but you've got to remember the other fights in the card that were there that weren't really show-stopping amazing events. For example, Willie Gates lost against a short notice fight against Sasaki, who stepped in for, who was it again, mate? Oh, Paddy Houlihan, that was it. And I tell you what, Willie Gates got absolutely demolished. Great performance by him. You've also got Leon Edwards in an absolute boring fight against Dominic Waters. Again, Leon Edwards, he needs to buy a personality because he hasn't got one. I don't think he's going to transfer over that well to the like even the UK fan because I can't handle listening to that dude, man. It's like paint dry. Neil Siri got absolutely outclassed by Horiguchi. Absolute another level Horiguchi is, and again Horiguchi is a great example of pushed too quickly into his title fight against the man himself, Demetrius Johnson. He's at American top team. He's learning the language, he's learning this new skill set. Horiguchi is possibly like the future for flyweight division if Demetrius Johnson ends up maybe.
Definitely looking good. I mean, again, if Neil takes anything away from this, again, he got to display his gut, which is, that I do like gutsy fighters, and Neil is definitely that. Okay, he lost every minute of that fight, but that man has, he couldn't even spell quit if you gave him a whole gravel table.
Now, you got, like I said, Horiguchi. I don't know what's going to happen for him next. Does he get maybe? I hope he gets another 2 or 3 fights before he even think about putting him in a title shot again. For Horiguchi, there's no point in rushing him.
I would like to see him against their
not Benavidez, maybe. Because if he gets Benavidez,
that's what I'm thinking. Probably Benavidez.
If he gets Benavidez, that puts him straight up for a title shot. I would like to see Horiguchi have maybe 2 more fights because the time.
I would like to see him against, number 1 against number 2 sort of thing. Like a proper good old school. Final eliminator for the title, because Benavidez I think it's still a fight too early for Benavidez, and Horiguchi, I'd like to see him in 1, maybe 2 more, so I would like to see that fight happen before they then step up, because
right.
I think you need to have somebody turn around and say, I am the best of the rest.
Yeah.
I am definitely.
Yeah, but Mike, I think Horiguchi needs to go and basically, I think, in my opinion, he needs to be maybe 2 fights away for another title shot or 3, because at the time he's getting American top team, he's still growing a lot more to his skill sets, and I think that's what he needs to go and do. But we're gonna move on because, like I said, I don't want to spend too much time. Josh Emmett's short notice fight, literally against John Tuck. Hell of a performance. Josh Emmett, alpha male fighter. Great performance, great debut in the UFC. Looked so composed. Tuck did not know what to do. He snapped his finger. It was absolutely crazy. Made it through to the end of the fight.
I mean, okay, so the last sort of 30 seconds of the last round, you got Josh Emmett running away. Not because he's playing chicken, that finger was poking out of the skin.
Yeah, the bone was out tore.
That was an ugly break.
Mike, it wasn't a break. Mike, it wasn't a break. He dislocated it. He literally went to the hospital. They put it back in, few stitches, and they said you're good to go when the stitches come out, and that's it.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly anyway.
Yeah, it was gnarly, but luckily enough, he can be back competing again soon. Yeah, he'll be back competing again soon, which is a good thing for him.
There was definitely signs of bone sticking out. So
yeah.
It wasn't pleasant for him.
Let's jump up the card a bit. Let's go a couple of other fights then.
I tell you what, I was surprised to see Gareth McClellan get stopped.
I wasn't. Why would you be surprised at that?
I thought he was actually on move, and
Why?
you know, that he got finished. I don't know. I like him. You know, I think he's. I thought, you know, I think he's. Well, I thought he was very tough, but you know, yeah, it's.
He's had one win in the UFC, and that was against Bubba Bush. Other than that, he's lost both his fights in the UFC, over 2 fights.
Well,
I don't.
Moving on.
Yeah, and even Bubba Bush isn't even that good. Look, South African fighters don't transition well into the UFC. The level of MMA in South Africa is not that.
Yeah, the theory of the can fire is big in South Africa, isn't it?
It's not the theory of the can fighter. It's just the level of fighters in Africa that isn't strong enough yet. Let's go to let's do the Dutchies. You got the Ramadani. Sorry, she came in hometown. She rejected the fight against Cyborg to take this fight because she wanted to fight in her hometown. Hell of a crowd. Anna Elmos, for me, it was too soon to come into the UFC anyway. Also, she's undersized in the 135 division. It was clear as day in that fight anyway. And she just got absolutely train wrecked by an elite striker.
Yeah, mollywops. Yeah, it was. That knee to the body was just like. You know, that could be the first fight you've ever watched, and you'd know that was painful where it landed.
It was beautiful work. Yeah, let's quickly touch on then Gunnar Nelson against Albert Tumenov. It was a fight that everyone was absolutely stoked about. This fight was probably the fight of everyone's on the card for everyone else. I didn't know how it would go on the fact that if Albert Tumenov could keep it standing, he was probably going to get away with the striking and win. But then again, with Gunny, if he gets it to the ground, Gunny's probably going to get the win with the grappling. So how did it go? Gunnar Nelson, amazing trips, got the fight down to the ground with some fantastic trips, and then basically grinded him with amazing jiu-jitsu to get this the submission. I was very impressed with Gunny's performance.
I'd even go further to say, like, I think that was probably, obviously, you know, against a good level of opponent as well. That's probably his best performance I've seen in the UFC. Yeah,
it was his best performance, yeah.
Level. Also, I mean, I said last week, I said, watch for Gunner's hands, you know, they're underrated. And
I don't think they're underrated. I don't think they're underrated. After the Brendan Thatch fight as well, I don't think they're underrated striking. Albert Tumenov is a better striker.
We just don't see a lot of it. You know, like,
no.
We obviously know what his game is, so...
Albert Tumenov was...
Like, as far as on the ground, he's second only to one guy.
Yeah. Now, Gunny is back in the rankings, in the UFC rankings. Who they match him up with next, it'll probably be a killer. I don't know who they're going to give him. Like, we've spoken potential Neil Magny fight. I like it because Neil Magny's got a very good range, managing his range and reach, which could be a problem for Gunny. But my issue is, look what happened with Damian Maia and Neil Magny. Could you see that again with Gunny? I could. So I don't know if I want to see it. But anyway, that's a potential.
And also with Neil Magny, he could move to Brazil. You're not going to catch up with Gunnar Nelson.
No. Look, you got next fight up, Mike, is Stefan Struve, Antonio Bigfoot Silva. It lasted all of 16 seconds, 13 seconds, whatever you want to call it. Bigfoot Silva rushed in like a freight train, gets caught, goes down. Struve starts landing elbows on the head of Bigfoot. Referee stops it, and Bigfoot's a bit unhappy, let's say, about the decision. But the problem was, Mike, you said it. We said off air. You were saying he wasn't moving. He wasn't moving. But to be fair, if I recall, Uriah Faber and Mr. Henbarao was in a similar position, holding the guy's foot, was getting pounded on, and didn't move. It's one of them things where you can't. It's a hard one because the other guy's not moving, but at the same time, if he moves, he might be putting himself in danger.
Sometimes, I mean, like, whether you like it or not, you have to think of who is it that's on the floor getting hit, and we've seen him get stopped quick a couple of times now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little worrying. You know, I love Bigfoot, and you know, yes, he was on testosterone. You know, he had TV. Do you know what? He was probably one of the only fighters in the whole of MMA that really did need, you that testosterone.
Yeah.
He's got this gigantism. It's all been said before.
Yeah, it's probably pituitary gland it is, yeah. Now, yeah, Bigfoot Silva, he should realistically retire. The UFC, I'd be absolutely amazed if the UFC even put him in another fight. Absolutely amazed. I'd be shocked if they didn't cut him. If they cut him, possibly you might see Bellator just go and take him for the sake of it, or Rizin or someone, because he'll still want to fight and he'll get a payday. And do you know what? Whatever. If he wants to fight, keep on. I prefer not to see it happen. But if he does it, it's his choice. Main event: Alistair Overeem, Andrei Arlovski. It was a fight that was going to go two ways. Arlovski was going to literally use an aggressive pace to catch Overeem, and it looked like he was doing that at the very, very, very start.
It looked like he might have just.
But Overeem just was being smart, covered up, absorbed the rush, and then applied his game plan and got the win.
I like this Overeem. He's this patient Overeem.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I can see this Overeem winning the title.
He could, but then again, I think about Verdum striking, Mike.
Horrible bastards at the top that I think have got the game pretty much.
Yeah.
Worked out both on the ground and on the feet.
Yeah, Fabrizio's got terribly good striking now.
But I do believe this Overeem is the best Overeem we've ever seen.
He is. But the thing is, it's the best Overeem we've seen. He put Arlovski down with that beautiful crane kick. And then he dropped him with the strikes. But the thing is, it depends on how Cain Velasquez defeats or loses to Travis Browne. Because if he defeats him in a beautiful manner, Cain Velasquez can sit there and go, right, I want my title back.
Yep.
But then again,
if you're a two-time champion, guess what? You can pretty much ask the title.
You can, and that's the thing. But Overeem, at the same time, he's got this great win streak. It's a tough one. Do you put the two of them together? Do you not, and then knock one of the contenders away? Look, I don't know what they're going to do. I think for the UFC, it's a hard one. I think they might do Overeem myself, because Overeem's not had that shot yet, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do that with Overeem.
And the thing is, don't get me wrong, we all like Velasquez, but we've seen that before.
Yeah.
And although he goes in there and he mollywops people.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Overeem is going in there and he's knocking people out.
He is. Now, the thing is, what you got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, is Alistair Overeem is doing very well. But the thing is, the Cain Velasquez fight it's still a few months away. So the Verdum Miocic fight is this weekend. They could easily book that title fight, obviously with Overeem and the winner of that, them two, in the next, say, 4 weeks, and then have that maybe September time, maybe August, September. Cain Velasquez has his fight in July, and then the winner fights maybe the New Year, like the New Year time for the New Year card. I tell you what, I'm just sticking it out there. Or they could be under New York. I'm just putting that out there as a potential theory there with the timings.
I see this one probably lasting as long as New York.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. So I think you could have. I think the winner of this Verdum Miocic fight is gonna fight Overeem, probably, like I say, August time maybe, and then the winner of that fights Cain at the end of the year. That's what I could see happening. But that's.
And also, don't forget, you got the Santos in the wings as well.
Actually, forget that. I said Cain there. I was jumping the gun about that. Sorry, Cain or Browne. But look, I think if Cain wins, he gets a shot. If Browne wins, I think Browne has to fight the Santos. There you go. Yeah. Look, we're going to move on though, because UFC 198 card is on this weekend. Absolutely hell of a card. Sadly, Anderson Silva had a bladder infection. I had to go get surgery. Apparently, it's a successful surgery. He's okay. But Uriah Hall and Anderson Silva fight is off the card. Absolutely gutted. But we're going to move on from that.
Both guys off the card now, so.
We're going to move on from that fight, though, Mike. Let's talk about John Lineker, Mike.
It will survive.
Yeah, Mike. John Lineker, Rob Font, love it. John Lineker in the 135 division, he's just a terror in the 125s. In 135, he carries the power with him still. I just look forward to that fight. It's going to be a hell of a scrap. Rob Font is an absolute solid bantamweight as well.
Yeah, my favourite man in the UFC.
He is your favourite man, that's why I brought it up.
He's a guy I love to dislike, but you know what? He's a twat. his fight is so exciting.
Yeah, it is. That's the problem.
Yeah, you know, oh dear. Yeah.
No, okay, then we'll move on because Mike's not trying to do anything technical.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right.
You have to watch him.
Look.
He is exciting.
Fight we're going to talk about Damian Maia, Matt Brown. That is a hell of a fight people tune in for.
I'm not going to jump quite as fast as that. I'm going to say Nate Marquardt. How is he still around?
Yeah, that's why I'm not talking about him. Damian Maia against Matt Brown. Damian Maia, Matt Brown is the fight. A hell of a fight. That's one of the. It's a great fight because, well, no, let me rephrase this. It's two fighters I love watching. Damian Maia is just a guy who's a wizard to watch. If you want to learn about grappling, you watch Gunny. Yeah, Gunny's very good, but look at Damian Maia. He's another level. He's in the stratosphere. Gunnar Nelson watches Damian Maia. That's how good Damian Maia is. Matt Brown is a ferocious, aggressive animal, and he will literally go and he will tear your head off if he gets a chance to. My worry is the Johnny Hendricks fight with Matt Brown. Hendricks used his wrestling to out grapple and basically put Brown is back. The thing is, I know it's a different type of grappling, it's a different style with Damian Maia, but if Damian Maia can get Matt Brown down, it's going to be a long night.
He's very good at turning himself into a bit of a blanket and getting you out of there, you know, it's just something I want to add. You know, props to people when they do something special, and sometimes it doesn't get publicised massively. I recently saw a video clip on social media of Matt Brown and TJ Dillashaw doing a thing for a young disabled child where they got him in the cage and they had a bit of a grappling match with him, you know, and so props to those two guys.
They train together at Elevate Gym, you see. That's the new gym that got all opened up, so they train together there. That's
You know, I mean, a lot of the time when you see Matt Brown, he's moaning and groaning and looking angry and all that. You know what? It was lovely to see, you know.
No, Matt Brown is actually really funny on social media, folks. He's actually quite a good crack. On his Instagram as well. He's a cool cat.
And he's very, very honest. You know, when he talks about losses and things like that, you know, he's not fighting for excuses.
No, he's brutally honest. Brutally honest.
He'll say when he's had his arse handed to him,
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to move on then to the fight. Now that fight as well is a fight I am really excited for. But this next fight, I'm super excited for a different reason. Because it's someone making a UFC debut at a weight fight at a category 140. It's
now, who could that be, I wonder?
Cyborg is fighting Leslie Smith. Everyone is pretty much. This fight. Everyone has wrote off Leslie Smith. Even Leslie Smith's parents have wrote Leslie Smith off. And I am not having any go at Leslie Smith. That girl has got some fucking brass to go in there against Cyborg. But the thing is, it's a strategical, tactical sense because she had no contract. She did, Mike, just a second. She took the fight to get a contract with the UFC again because her contract ran out. She begged for the fight. No one else was taking it. And she got it. She's a small 135. She's fought at 125 before. So fighting at 140, that's probably just her walking around. Maybe she might walk around maybe 145.
Yeah, she might drop 5 pounds, 5 or 6 pounds, but...
Cyborg, yeah. I'm super stoked to see Cyborg in the UFC. She is going to add value to the women's fight, the women's divisions, and she is a girl that's going to absolutely terrorise opponents. And she needed to be in the UFC. You know, they could have done a 145 division, but they haven't. It's stuck. I'm hoping she gets to 130. I hope she gets to 135. I hope she can do it in a healthy manner. I'd love to see either Dolce or nutrition help her in some way. I don't care what, but I'd love to see something like that happen to make sure she gets there. But yeah, mate.
This needs to help massive, I think, the fact that she's on this card. If Cyborg had never fought in the UFC, it'd have been like the second biggest travesty to Fedor never fighting in the UFC.
It would just been a shame because the UFC,
you know,
well...
Because these top guys, and girls, sorry, they need to test themselves against the others. And don't get me wrong, you know, she's had some mega big fights, you know.
Well, the thing is, Mike, I think
I want to steer against the biggest beast that we can throw at her.
Yeah, but I think, Mike, the problem...
How does she deal with Ronda? How does she deal with Holly Holm? You know?
No, but the problem... And Misha Tate, the champion at the moment, bantamweight champion. But the problem, Mike, I think, it was the weight differences, and the problem was the UFC needed to sit there and speak to either Misha, Ronda, or Holly, and sit there and go, look, we want Cyborg to fight, but she can't make that weight. Will you be willing to do a catchweight bout and do a fight with her? Because that was the thing. Ronda was like, oh yeah, you want to fight? Come down to my weight because I'm the champ. Yeah, well, actually, Cyborg was the champ of the 145 division, so it was not her fault that the UFC didn't have her weight class. Like, Ronda was basically trying to do like Floyd Mayweather did to Pacquiao, and he basically strategically delayed the fight until Pacquiao had already, basically the best Pacquiao was already gone, and so Floyd Mayweather picked when he wanted to fight him, so he knew he had a more chance of of winning. So basically Ronda Rousey was like, come to 135 because I know it'll absolutely ruin you going down to 135, and that increases my chances of winning, and that's what it was.
Yeah, the weight cut alone would be murder. Like,
so look,
but you know what? Cyborg is looking better and better each year.
she is. She's looking awesome. We're going to go to co-main event. Jacare, Vitor Belfort. It's simple. I put this nice and short and sweet. Jacare to win. Vitor Belfort will try to use his 3 minutes of bursts that he has, and I think Jacare will counter the bursts, absorb whatever he's going to try and do, get him to the ground. I think Jacare is just going to put a masterclass on Vitor. I can't see Vitor winning, and the new reason I say that is because I don't think Vitor's only lost recently to Weidman and who else was it as well? I can't remember, but
Vitor does have that explosive.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I mean. The 3 minute.
And he does still have it. You know, I mean, he did hurt Weidman in that fight.
Well, it's a 3 minute flurry. He has a 3 minute flurry, is like I like to call it. He has that energy to burst out and just go. But then,
are you trying to think of who else he lost to? John Jones.
John Jones, that was it. Yeah, I was thinking of middleweights. Yeah. I was like, he hasn't fought Romero. He hasn't fought.
Obviously, Anderson Silva.
Yeah, that was a while back though. That was like Anderson Silva was.
Yeah, that's where we had the big kick. Like,
that was years ago.
John Jones and obviously Chris Weidman.
Yeah, they're the two recent ones. I think the Anderson one was man. How long ago was that? That must have been 4, 5, 6, 4.
Well, it was the kick that we.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, the front kick. But what I mean is, it was a while back. That when I count the John Jones and Weidman is more relevant. But like we say, you know, he's only lost to those guys, and I'm not being funny, folks. Those three names were all champions at that time when he fought. So Vitor Belfort is very talented. He is, but I just feel without that Mexican supplements that he's had, age takes a factor into it. I feel that Jacare is just that guy riding that cusp, riding that wave. The fight with Yo Romero was a stinker. That fight should have been possibly one of the fights of the year. The pair of them didn't show up. The pair of them were both woeful in that fight. I think
they
both of them stylistically just cancel each other out. I think it just was a bum fight. But I think Jacare will want to prove a point. He'll want to come out and you know, make a statement, and I think he'll do it against Vitor. I really do. To be fair, the betting lines, it's in Jacare's favour. So if you want to put a bet on, I'd probably put a little sneaky bet on Vitor just in case, because you've got good odds.
Yeah, and you know what? He's got a chance of catching
Jacare.
Jacare. You know, there's every chance he might land.
Yeah.
We've seen him hurt. You know, we've seen him get dropped. So.
But Jacare is tough as nails. Yeah.
And also, Vitor has finished people that don't get finished.
Yes. Main event now. Main event. Verdum versus Miocic is going to be a hell of a scrap. But the thing is, again, Mike, I'm going to be short and sweet on this one. I've got Verdum. Stipe's got the striking upstairs with the boxing. But I just feel the better, more well-rounded fighter is Verdum. He's got the kicks. He's got the, obviously he can punch, but the thing is, he's got the kicks, the punches. He's got the grappling. He's got the submissions. I just think he is a more well-rounded fighter. Of course,
he's got more ways to win.
He has got more ways to win.
I see with this fight, you've got the two most improved heavyweights in the UFC. You know, you've got Stipe, who lost to Stefan Struve a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, who's now, you know, done leaps and bounds since that fight.
He has.
And Verdum, who obviously has been cut from the UFC and since come back a totally different fighter.
Yeah, but that, Mike, I would say Anderson Silva's up in that mix of improved fighters. I've got to say, Mike, Anderson Silva, Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem has been. He's a different guy.
Overeem, all he's done is he started becoming patient.
He's been at but it's beautiful. It's beautiful though. I love watching it.
It's lovely. I love it. But he was formidable beforehand.
He was formidable, but he was liable.
These two guys, like Verdun went off and came back like a monster striker.
Yeah.
And then Stipe, who was just floating around in the heavyweight division, then all of a sudden turned up one day and had DeSantos a bit of a beating and somehow manages to lose it. I don't know how.
He did get whopped. He got absolutely cracked a few times in that fight. Hang on a minute. They both literally took years off each other's lives in that fight. The pair of them wiped each other out. But yeah, Stipe, he's a very good athlete, very good heavyweight. If it goes to full 5 rounds, Stipe could put that cardio and striking into it. But the thing is, I think Verdum's just got the more skills to finish the fight. That's my opinion.
He's striking in.
Mike, we're going to move on. We're going to move on now, Mike. Jordan Parsons, let's say, not killer, but that's probably the one wrong way to word it.
Okay.
Suspect.
Okay, he's not been found guilty yet.
Suspect.
The alleged arsehole that drove off and left him to die.
Yes. The alleged arsehole who did it he handed himself in.
The alleged family wrecker.
Yes. He handed himself in. Great news. Fantastic. Super happy especially for the Parsons family. They might get a little bit of closure with that as well. It will make a difference.
Let's hope that they can get some sort of
closure. Just closure out of it, really. And look, we're going to move on then to the big news this week is the UFC's sale. Now, I've actually... I talked about this a few months back about a potential sale about the UFC and how there was rumour of them looking for buyers. I mentioned this a while back on Twitter because I had a very good source tell me about this information. And look what's come out. More information has come out.
To be honest with you, I mean, it was social media was saying that, and it was the Far East. But let's be honest, if it's going to get brought out, it probably is going to be the Far East.
Well,
it's going to be Chinese or Japanese money.
Well, you've got Abu Dhabi as well, mate. You've got those guys. They've already got a stake in Zuffa. They've already got a stake.
Money out there as well,
But look, there's rumours flying around like 4 billion and stuff like that. But the thing is, I got some information again. Now, there is talks about maybe another offer coming in from I think it's a Chinese consortium or I'm not sure who it is. There's no names yet, but it looks like they're trying to buy a stake in the UFC. So what it means is the Fertitta's power. Mike, just a second, mate. Mike, just a second. I'm just dropping the information out here now. It looks like the Fertitta stake, the percentage that Fertitta's have, will go down to about 68%. Dana's will drop a little bit, but then you'll have Abu Dhabi who have their stake. I think they have like 10% in the UFC. I think that's what's going to happen. The Fertitta's drop their stake, and then China have the consortium or company, whatever it is, have a stake in the UFC, and that might lead on to something else. Now, has this all come about recently as well? Because of you look at the product they've got. Maybe they want to step away from it, focus on their casinos. Maybe they feel like there's not much else they can get out of the promotion in the sense of money. They feel like they might have reached a cap with the money on the value of the promotion. They've also recently, you've got to take a note that the Fox deal they have is coming up soon. And with TV deals, the negotiations start a couple of years before they sign the new deal. And that's their contract's coming up with their Fox. So there's a lot of bids, a lot of things moving on. The Reebok deal as well kicking off. There's a lot of things going on with reasons to possibly want to sell. Dana White said though there's no sales going on, etc., etc. They're not going to say what's going on.
No, you don't expect it. And for anyone that knows anything about business, there's only 2 times you sell your company. That's either if, the publicised steel company in Britain, where you're totally skin.
Yeah.
It sells there.
They're a little bit skin.
You offload your blogger dead horse, or when you're peaking, because that is when it's prime. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the highest yield.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get your top dollar. They're the only times where it's sensible in between is just bad business.
It is indeed. And the UFC, like the Fertitas, they're not silly men. They're smart businessmen, and they're not.
And do you know what? Something when you look at the timing of it,
Yeah.
I ask myself, is part of it the New York thing as well? You know, was that the last sort of like, you know, the last they wanted to hatch? You know, I want to get into New York. We're in New York now. You know, have they?
Yeah,
bucket list?
that adds that maybe it's not bucket list. I think it adds value to the. I think it adds value, Mike.
But you know what I mean? Like, you know, their to-do list, shall we say, as far as UFC is concerned.
I think, yeah, I don't know that. I think it just adds value to the promotion, is what it does.
Oh, well, yeah, but you know, I mean, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, I mean, obviously, I plan to be there because it's a lifelong. Well, not lifelong, but
I was going to say.
But at the same time, you know, come next year, New York would just be like Las Vegas as far as, you know, if you're sat at home watching fight, it doesn't really matter where it is. All it affects is time zones.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
If you're watching somewhere in Canada, once the fight starts, it doesn't matter where it is. Unless you're actually there, you know, you're planning on going to it.
Yeah.
If you're watching it on TV, the only thing that changes is the time zone.
Yeah.
You can't tell by watching it, you know. The cage has still got black on it, you know.
It is, but look, Mike, you're digressing there, buddy. What we're talking about is the UFC sale. The fact that they have New York, Mike, will add value because of the cards that they can host there. So it puts the value up a little bit with the promotion itself. That's what it is. So, look, I reckon, personally, it's going to take a lot of money if someone's going to buy the UFC. I think the fact that the UFC have the Fertitas and the Dana's put that $4 billion price tag on, that pissed me off more than anything. As I was like, if you're putting that value on, why are you only giving people who fight bonuses of 50,000? You should up your bonuses or put more bonuses out, or you should pay them more as well. If you've got that value on the company, that shows you've got a lot more money. That really ticked me off that little bit.
It's a 200,000 bonus per fight card.
Yeah.
Which, you know, on some fight cards, that's a massive bonus, you know, on some fight cards, because that might be more than some people are getting paid for the actual fight, you know what I mean? So, these are mega bonuses.
Look.
That's not big when you look at, I mean, like Rotterdam, I believe the gate was $1.5 million, which is fantastic.
Yeah. It's so, and I think...
Props to them.
I think they could go to Amsterdam next time if they can get that sorted and go to the Amsterdam Arena.
I think they'll just dip their toes in, and I think, you know, with a gate of $1.5 million on the first time, they're definitely going back. And yet, Germany, you know, they announced Germany, they're going back to Germany. Yeah,
they're going back to Berlin, they're going back there. What I think though, Mike, with Amsterdam is that the Amsterdam Arena, it's a closed roof, I believe, off the top of my head. It's got a roof. So what you can do is you can have a roof if it's obviously not the greatest weather, but the other thing is it's a stadium, football stadium, huge numbers you can fit in there. You can also then, if Overeem gets a title shot, like you said, win it, defend it there. Great idea. You could put that in place to make money. But anyway, we're digressing again. That's what's going to happen. That's pretty much it for this week. Make it quick, Mike. Make it quick, buddy.
The reason about right. So Germany, they announced Germany at the Rotterdam card.
Yeah.
The tickets go on sale on the 27th of May. That's this month. We're in
Right.
May at the moment.
And?
So we're talking a couple of weeks away.
Yeah.
There's no time at all, you know. And the fight's in September. It just seems like very, very little warning, you know. Normally, your league's got like a play month in between notices.
You do, but the thing is, they don't need to. That's the thing. The UFC is such a brand. They could put that card out there and it will sell anyway. But look, that's the power.
The last time they went to Germany, they struggled.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Maybe that's why they're putting the tickets out there a bit earlier. Give it a bit of time. They might fill a card up. They probably might even announce a fight. They might announce something. With Dennis Seamer being injured out of that BJ Penn fight as well, he might be thrown straight onto that Germany card right now. As you know, they might say to him, "You're waiting. We're going to stick you on the Germany card now. You'll have to wait out a bit longer." Look, we're going to end the podcast. That's it for this week. If you want to put a comment down below, more than welcome to. You're welcome to tick a like. You can share it, whatever. Subscribe as well. Subscribe button's down there. Jump on board with us. That's it from me this week, and that's it from Mike this week. So, Mike, give everyone a goodbye and give them a kiss and a hug.
Right, okay. So there's Andrew in Brighton. Bye-bye, Andrew. And there's Jeff in Afghanistan. No, bye-bye, everyone. I'll see you next week.
Right.